The MashUp is brought to you by Gold's Gym, with locations in Fishkill and LaGrange, and North Star Sports, with training facilities in Poughkeepsie and Wappingers Falls. Coming up on this edition of the MashUp, the Ketchum freight train keeps rolling. Spack'n'Kill's last stop is Rhinebeck, and Highland girls push the panic button against Center Moriches, and you won't believe the shocking end to an historic run. We've got the Bishops and the Dukes, and the sectional championship that was no fluke.
Pitcher, 10th grade, my bad.
Hey, we all say weird things sometimes.
I'll try not to. I'm a shifter, that's the problem.
Okay. Resilience you guys seem to have as a team.
Yeah. Wait, I don't know what resilience means.
That's okay. You just keep the outs, and we'll tell everybody what's in. The MashUp is next. Hi, everyone. I'm Charlie Carnaccio. Thank you for tuning into the MashUp as we recap the past week in postseason play for our local teams. Let's start with a postseason favorite in June that starts its season in January. You can sum up the Ketchum Indians baseball team with one word: deep. Deep in batting order, deep in up the middle, deep off the bench, and deep into the states with a win over Valley Central. Matt Guarnaccia takes us through the regional finals.
That's Greg Blum on the mound for the Indians. He pitched the team to victory in the Section 1 title game against Fox Lane last week. But in the second, Blum runs into a bit of trouble. With a runner on second and one out, Valley Central's Donnie Florio rips a base hit down the right field line. First baseman Nick Panisse comes home, and the Vikings go up 1-0. But in the bottom of the fifth, Ketchum started showing signs of life. With runners on first and second and one out, Mark Joa hits one up the middle. Shortstop Joe Avila grabs it and goes to second for one, but the throw to first is late, setting up the Indians with runners on first and third. The next batter, Jordan Bishop, swings and drops a line drive into center field. Dan Alonso comes home to score, and we are knotted up at one apiece. To the bottom of the sixth we go. Justin Squarzini on second with Tyler Sinelli at the plate. Squarzini takes off, and he slides safely into third without a throw. Sinelli would then ground to the first baseman, who thinks about home, but goes to first instead, and Squarzini touches home safely, putting the Indians up 2-1. But they weren't done there. A single and a pass ball would set Ketchum up with runners on second and third and only one out. Coach Pat Mealy thinks it's time for a squeeze play. Matt Lidge drops down the bunt. The only play is to first, and the Indians pick up another run. But wait, there's more. A walk would put runners on first and third, and Jacob Morgenstern gets into this one. A booming shot to right center field gets past the outfielders. Two more runs come in, and the Indians take a 5-1 lead. And that's all they would need in this one. The final out is recorded, and Ketchum is on their way to Binghamton for the Class AA state semifinals next weekend.
Matt Guarnaccia joins us now. He's been following the team over the last few weeks. You've seen them up close and personal. My take is that this is a Ketchum team that gets stronger as the game goes on, but what do you see as the secret to their success?
In a word, pitching. Their pitching has been phenomenal. Tim Zenbauer has been a force for Ketchum, and the tandem of Greg Blum and Dylan DeAnna have been really big in some very huge spots. Blum and DeAnna won both the Section 1 Class AA title game, and they won this past game to bring them into the semifinals this weekend. Ketchum's pitching is going to be a very tough task for a Shenendehowa team, which they are playing on Saturday, and it is going to be a very good game because of the superior pitching of Ketchum.
Well, let's talk about the superior pitching of Shenendehowa, ranked number 1 in New York State. They've got a fireball, a couple of guys who can really bring it.
Yeah, they have their ace, Brian Warzik, who is a junior, and he is a fireballer. He has pitched in their last 3 games, and he is a very, very good pitcher. And on the other side, they have a sophomore named Ian Anderson, who is their closer, and he can get it up between 84 and 86 miles an hour. So they're going to have a really tough task ahead of them, especially for a very light-hitting Ketchum team.
It's a shame that the number 1 team like Shenendehowa and Ketchum have to meet in the semifinals. Sounds more to me like that should be a final game from our perspective. Here's the other interesting thing, scheduling. All the games are going to be played on Saturday. So Ketchum will play their game at 1 o'clock. The team that they'll play if they win that game for the championship plays at 10 o'clock. So this team that plays at 10 o'clock, they've got a lot of time in between their first game and their next game. Does that prove to be an advantage or a disadvantage for them?
Well, it could go one of two ways. Ketchum, if they win their game, they're going to basically have to be playing a doubleheader, and that could be very tough for them. They could be very burnt out. But on the other side of that, they could have a ton of adrenaline going on, and they could just cruise their way into the victory for the state. On the other side of that, you have the team at 10 o'clock. Whoever wins that game, they're going to have to sit around for a while, so they could get very cold, or they could have enough rest to go the distance and make a statement in that final game.
In a situation like that, I got to put my money on the team with momentum, and that would be the team that wins at 1 o'clock will probably win at 4 o'clock. That's just the way I feel. I think momentum is a really strong thing, especially at this age with these kids and these players. All right, Matt, thank you very much for your insight.
You're welcome.
Let's take a look now at a heartbreaking loss for the Highland softball team. The Highland girls softball team was this close to moving into the state Final Fours, but something happened on its way to Glens Falls. It was a heartbreaker for the Lady Huskies. Shannon Ward was zoned in and focused and strikes out the sides to set the tone. It was 3-0 after 1, and it stayed that way until the 5th inning, when Raphael draws a walk and Panic goes high to high and sends this Kylie Castellano pitch over the left field fence. It's 5-0 Huskies. In Center Morich's final at bat, Highland led 5-1. But Cassie Smith starts things off in the bottom of the 7th with a bunt and catches everyone off their assignments to get the ball rolling. Kayla Huber catches Emily Delfini leaning to her left, and that puts 2 on with no outs for Ward to contend with. Sierra Smith draws a walk, and the bases are loaded. Alexa Anderson draws a bases-loaded walk, and that makes it 5-2, still no outs. The relief pitcher for Center Moriches, Aaron Crean, provides a sacrifice to bring another run home. It's 5-3. And then Tori Fahey comes in to pinch hit, and what a pinch hit it was. Straight up the middle, 2-run score, and we're tied at 5. Bottom of the 8th, Kayla Huber, and Huber starts things off with a bunt single. Sierra Smith follows that with a clean hit to left, and it's 1st and 2nd, no outs. Holly Bruce, she drops one down and moves runners to 2nd and 3rd for Aaron Crean. Crean chops one to 3rd. Allie Cipollino comes home, but the ball comes loose, and Center Moriches steals one with an amazing comeback, 6-5 the final.
You had a great season. I congratulated the 4 seniors that were leaving. Told them that, this is a life lesson. It's a life lesson, and that's what softball's all about.
Tough way for Highland to go down. You got to hand it to the girls. They gave us a tremendous season, and now they have something to build on for next season. The John Jay girls softball team has plenty of promise for the future. This is a team that stole the show in the postseason, won the sectional championship, and did it with just 1 senior. And while the girls were shut down in the regional finals against Union Endicott, still, the girls will have a memory of a lifetime beating crosstown rival Ketchum for the sectional championship. After going down 1-2-3 in the first 3 innings, Stephanie Stum starts things off in the 4th with a base hit. Jamie Harney follows that with another hit. Sam Fitzgerald comes up with another hit, and the bases are loaded with no outs. Jess Harney keeps the hit parade spinning with this hit to right. Stum scores, and we're tied at 1. 2 batters later, Shanna Schaefer launches one over the head of everyone. 3-run score, and Schaefer goes into 3rd on the play at the plate. It's 4-1 Jay, and the Patriots can feel it. Allie Muller was in control and shut it down from there. Once again, here's the final out as John Jay shocks the world with a 5-2 win over Ketchum for the Class AA sectional title, thanks to that big blast by Shanna Schaefer.
Honestly, I crowded the plate a little because I know she usually likes to go outside. She comes up high a little bit. She threw me 2 inside balls. I thought maybe she'd go outside, but she came back inside, so I just put the bat on the ball and just did what I had to do.
Classic group of girls right there.
In other action, Spack and Kiel fell to Ryan at 2-0 to end the Spartans' miraculous recovery. Let me ask you this. Name a team that started the season 1-5 and then ran right through the sectional championship. The Spartans showed tenacity and resilience and proved that Don Neese isn't just the head coach of a high school baseball team, but rather an architect of a program and perennial powerhouse in the Hudson Valley baseball.
In the top of the second, Rhineck gets things moving. First baseman Matt Franks draws the leadoff walk, and after a flyout to left for the first out, Angelo Spitafino knocks one in between third and short to put runners on first and second. The next batter, pitcher Ryan Aquino, gets drilled in the back, loading the bases with only one out. Left fielder Sam Pelliaro at the plate now, and he connects on the check swing. Justin Etch scoops it up, steps on second, but the throw to first is way too high. 2 runs come in for Rhineck as they take a 2-0 lead. From then on, the bats would go relatively silent for both teams, and the score would remain 2-0 heading into the bottom of the 7th. With Ryan Aquino still on the mound for the Panthers, Joe Arcuri strikes out swinging. Rhineck takes the victory, and the Spartans are eliminated by the score of 2-0.
Talk about building a program. Jen Veronese is doing just that with the Iron Dukes of Marlboro. The Dukes fell short of the Final Four for Class A with an 8-5 extra inning loss to perennial powerhouse and program from Rockland County, Pearl River. Pirates beat Marlboro 8-5 in 9 innings for the right to go to the New York State Final Fours. Hey, earlier this week, in a surprise announcement, Marist lost a head basketball coach and the Detroit Pistons gained a general manager. Jeff Bauer turned in his resignation after just 1 season to take the GM job with the Pistons. Bauer now goes from the arena to the palace. Rich Tomaselli gives us his take on what it all means for Bauer, Marist Athletic Director Tim Murray, and the Marist men's basketball program.
Hey, thanks, Charlie. By now, everybody's read about how Marist College has lost its men's basketball coach, Jeff Bauer. He resigned last week to become the general manager of the Detroit Pistons. And ever since then, there's been some issues going around the program, some perceptions, really. So let's talk about those, because really, as I wrote last week on Hudson Valley Sports Report, this is a gargantuan hire for Tim Murray, the athletic director. So let's start right there with number 1. Tim Murray has made some bad hires. Yes, he has. But remember, we're talking in retrospect here. When he hired Matt Brady, who knew Brady was going to take off after just a few years and use Marist as a stepping stone to move on to bigger and better things? Should Tim Murray have known that? Probably. Should Tim Murray have known that Jeff Bauer was going to return to the NBA? Probably. Jeff had 15 years with the Charlotte and New Orleans Hornets, and it was probably inevitable that he would go back to the NBA, especially with a big salary jump. Do you blame it all on Tim Murray? No, but he has to take some responsibility here, and that's what makes this next hire really, really big for him. Perception number 2, money. In one of the stories I wrote, I quoted Dick Weiss, one of the most famous and one of the most knowledgeable college basketball writers in the country. And he told me Marist needs to put some more money into the program. But I talked to a lot of people surrounding the program who were once in the program, including some former coaches, and they said, not true. Marist spends, and they spend a lot. There was never any restrictions on recruiting budget or anything like that, and I think everybody who has been to a Marist game certainly has seen the improvements made to the McCann Center, now the McCann Arena, as well as the basketball offices. So money is not an issue with Marist spending on the men's basketball program. Jeff Bauer probably made around $275,000 to maybe $350,000 in salary, which is a good salary for a small Division I private school and in line with some other coaches who are already coaching in the Metro Atlantic Athletic Conference. So Marist has spent and will spend money on the men's basketball program. Point number 3, academics. There is a perception that Marist can't get players into school from high school if their grades are a little shaky, and that they can't recruit junior college players. Again, from everybody that I talk to, that is not true. Marist can get players in school. The problem is, how do they keep them in good academic standing? That has been an issue with previous coaches as well. One of the things that I really liked about Jeff Bauer that really hasn't been reported elsewhere is that he set up an academic program that went well beyond what the Marist support system did for the players. Once a week, every player was assigned to a certain assistant coach, and they had to report to that coach and talk about academics, give their grades, everything associated with going to school. Remember, it's student athlete. And then they would also meet with Jeff Bauer once a week to discuss those things. So there were systems in place to help these kids stay in school. The other thing about junior college players, Marist is allowed to recruit junior college players. There is no edict from Tim Murray or Dr. Dennis Murray, the president of the school, for that matter. In fact, Jeff Bauer was in on a kid, a JUCO player from Utah, and it just didn't work out. So Marist is on a level playing field with the rest of the teams in the MAC. So now what? Well, the obvious thing is we're looking at candidates now. Tim Murray has started to bring some people in to talk to, and now you have to wonder who's going to be the next coach of the Marist College men's basketball team. Some folks would like to see Paul Lee, one of the assistants, promoted, perhaps even Eugene Burrows. What I think is going to happen is Marist is going to do something that's kind of in between promoting from within and making a big splash hire. I really don't think Marist is going to go after a former coach like a Fran Fraschilla and bring him in just to make a big name hire to satisfy everybody. But I don't think they're going to promote from within because of the experience issue and some other stuff. So what's going to happen? Well, I think they're going to take a long, long look at some of the assistants, the top assistants in the country. People like Jay Young, a Marist grad who's at Stony Brook right now. People like Dan McHale from Minnesota. People like Mark Prosser, Skip's son, also a Marist graduate. So I believe that when it's all said and done, Marist is going to have a good coach, but it's not going to be promoted from within, and it's not going to be the quote-unquote big name hire that everybody's looking for. What they're going to go for is someone who can, whether that's verbal or not, give them a commitment to stay at Marist and rebuild this program. Tim Murray has said all along, of the 100+ MAC championships that Marist won, his biggest regret is they haven't won a men's basketball tournament title. Now they need to really work on that to rectify that situation. I'm Rich Tomaselli from Hudson Valley Sports Report.
Congratulations to Drew Lugbauer, who, through all this activity over the weekend, got a call from the Toronto Blue Jays as part of the amateur draft. Lugbauer signed a letter of intent to play at Michigan. He'll honor that and forego the temptations of professional baseball and signing bonuses. Speaking of professional baseball, the Renegades open this Friday night at the stadium. Check back here for coverage of opening night. And that will do it for the Mashup. I'm Charlie Carnaccio, and we'll see you between the lines.